tired. I'm so sleepy. Today has been garbage, but it's okay because we're here now and everything's gonna be fine and fantastic, and it's fine. It's fine. How are you guys doing? How are things going? I know I've seen a couple of you already today, but it's not gonna stop me from asking how you're doing again. Oh boy. First day of classes. My doctor's appointment got canceled and no one told me. Student loans are dumb. It's great. But, it's fine, because we got a new game tonight. And that's exciting. I'm excited about it. Also a little spooked. Actually genuinely kind of spooked to play this one, which doesn't happen very often, but here we are. And we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be great. Oh, dang is right! I don't know if it's actually gonna be super spooky or if I've just hyped myself up. And like, made it seem like it's scarier than it actually is, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be spooky, and I'm very excited about it. There you go. There you go. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do some Song of Horror, especially now that I've like got it fixed, I think. It has the same-ish controls as the first Silent Hill. Yeah, I think it is tank control, but that's only because like it's a fixed camera. I can deal with tank controls. It's fine. I just don't like shadow monsters. Shadow monsters freak me out. There's just something about shadow monsters that I don't dig on. But it's gonna be fine. It'll be fine. I am very excited about this game. So I guess without further ado, we'll start. We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. Not the invisible corners. I hope that that's not too much of an issue in this one, simply because it is like a newer game. That's not what I wanted to click on. Is the game too loud? Do I need to turn it down? I wanted to turn it up a little bit. Hey, game's general volume setting? You shouldn't be on this screen. But, can I just... Yeah, that's fine. We didn't really start... Okay. Sound effects might be a little loud. I can turn that down just a smidge. Because this game, I guess, like, relies very heavily on sound. Here, we'll keep the... We'll put it there. All right, yeah. Let's do this. I guess let's go. But yeah, I finally got it to work because I had to use a previous version of it because they still haven't gotten the NVIDIA graphics card fix for the game yet. Well, it's not NVIDIA. It's not NVIDIA's fault. It should not be a deadly premonition situation. From what I read, if you've got an NVIDIA graphics card, which I do, all you have to do is just use the previous version of it, because there was some patch that they did in, like, one of the latest updates. Well, I say latest, this was like a year ago. That, like, fucked the graphics card, and we're already further than we were before, so... It's gonna be fine. Oh boy.
Home sweet home.
Yeah? Okay, bud. Oh, it's got the Xbox controls listed. Alright, that's acceptable, I suppose. Not the greatest pizza I've had, but it hit the spot. I mean, pizza's pizza, man. Can't wait to see the next X-Files episode. What year is it? It's Grumpy Dad from The Last of Us, not Joel! Not my boy! Also, Jody, welcome. Some leftover coffee, not my drug of choice on a Friday evening. Sir? I'm not really hungry, plus I didn't get any groceries this week. Could be the 90s, could be 2010s. Right, though. Valid point. Plan to spend my Sunday on this couch listening to jazz. Oh no. Wait, what was that? My videotape collection, I've got quite a few westerns and cop movies. Oh, you're one of those dudes, aren't ya? Can I look at this plant? Damn, I closed the curtains again. I'll end up killing this poor plant. Have you considered not killing your plant? I should sell that old thing once and for all. Okay, is there... Are you familiar with the music known as jazz? I am not. Man, the toilet drain stinks, as usual. Have you considered cleaning it? We're so stompy.
Oh, crikey, seriously?
Excuse me? That's a Howard Moon of the Mighty Boosh.
Hello.
Daniel, it's me, Etienne. Hey, we've got a bit of a major emergency going on here.
Oh, you're joking. Friday evening, and there's an emergency?
This is serious business. Sebastian Husher is nowhere to be found, and his manuscript should have been at the office by Tuesday.
No.
He won't answer his calls, and he hasn't shown up at his office at the university. He's vanished into thin air.
No.
Don't screw with me, Etienne. Call him on Monday, or send a courier for him. I just got in the door less than 5 minutes ago.
I'd go myself, but I've got to attend Albert's performance in half an hour. Plus, Husher's house is closer to your place than it is to mine.
No, Fruity, you're making it
Man,
worse.
The sooner you go, the sooner you'll get back home.
You're going to owe me a big fat favor.
This is 100% facts that Allie would know. I understand.
Abbott Thomas Road, in the old housing developments along Highway EB-15.
EB-15? Good
No!
God, that sounds in the sticks. I plan to take a few days off after this.
Well, we'll talk about that once you find it.
Guys,
no! And if he
no.
gives you the manuscript, don't show it to anyone. And don't go selling it off to the highest bidder.
I'll see what I can do. We'll ring
Game
you up when
volume
I get
still
back.
okay?
Thanks, Dan. You're saving my
I'm gonna move the conversation on. Is the game volume alright? Voice is too loud.
Again, another Friday evening and I'm working as an errand boy. I suppose they're too important over at Wake
I am
Publishers to
on
come
the
looking
normal
for jolly old
difficulty.
Husher themselves. Shit. Even I should be too important for that.
So all their difficulties are named after horror writers. We're on the Edgar Allan Poe setting. The hardest setting is H.P. Lovecraft.
If only things had gone a bit better for the company, or I'd got on the wagon a bit sooner. Damn, Sophie did the right thing when she divorced me. I'd have divorced myself in her place.
Oh, dang!
Daniel Neuer, the bloody alcoholic. Chin up, you. That is Daniel Neuer, the bloody ex-alcoholic, after all.
Ah, yes, thank you for rolling up the content
warnings.
warnings.
Wake publishers screwed over lackey by evening. Even Friday evenings.
There were none that, like, were actually listed, so this is kind of what we've
status at the company
gleaned.
would rise quite a
Hard
bit.
mode just makes the
After
game
all,
super
he's the publishing
racist.
firm's
Oh
biggest
no.
star.
Oh no.
Let's cross our fingers and hope he's home.
Okay. The Husher Mansion is a large 19th century colonial house property of Sebastian P. Husher, acclaimed professor and historical fiction author. Good on him? tiny car! Is that in relation to the hard mode thing? And it's because the hard mode is called HP Lovecraft, and Lovecraft was a raging racist and sexist and homophobe. Lovecraft was a terrible human. Basically. Yeah, Lovecraft the worst guy. But yeah, here we got ETA Hoffman as the easiest one. It's just the story, please. MR James is Give Me a Break. Edgar Allan Poe is the original experience, what was intended. And then H.P. Lovecraft is the I want challenge, I want terror. It's the hardest one. Was he actually afraid of air conditioners? I'd believe it. He seems weird enough. A tricycle! I didn't know Husher had kids. He doesn't! I mean, he really was afraid of everything. Oh, okay, there's my documents button. There's my inventory. Is there a run button? There is not. It's no running. No running allowed. Newspaper. That murderer they arrested about a week ago is on the front page. Alright. So yeah, everything. Just afraid of everything.
Is that music? I'd better take a look.
Or don't. This house is gorgeous. I would like to leave, though. Each character has their own light source. To turn it off and on, press right trigger or right analog. Once it's on, you can choose the direction of... Yeah. Light source will never run out. Use it as much as you need. I like that. I appreciate not having batteries or time limits.
Playing a music box.
They look like travel guides. Oh my god, there's so many things to interact with. Clock marks 12. Guess it needs fixing. Are we just gonna leave the door open? So, that's a lot of clothes. Is there anyone home? The alarm seems disabled. Much better. If it goes off, I'll have a lot of explaining to do. That's weird. What are all those suitcases doing here? Why did my controller vibrate? Chessboard really suits the highbrow feel of this house. What a beauty. Must sound like an angel. Okay, this is not where the sound is. God, we're so stompy.
There's something on that door.
I think the vibrating is like when I close a door. Found an examinable item. Expected to gain information. Okay. The fucking airplane thing. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh. Well, okay, what does this say? Dear Sebastian, how are you? To be completely honest, I must admit that we are all impatiently awaiting your latest work. My dear friend, I must ask you a favor of you. Enclosed with this letter, you will find one of the latest items we have purchased at the store. An ornate music box with fascinating engravings. The craftsmanship is astonishing, but something else has caught my eye. Or perhaps I should say ear. The melody, Sebastian. It's peculiar. You have to listen for yourself. I had never heard the song before, and my attempts at finding the score or the name or composer have failed. Cannot for the life of me get that melody out of my head. Would you be willing to help me find any clues regarding this box and its mysterious melody? I would be forever grateful. With the warmest of wishes, Isaac Farber. P.S. I've also enclosed the little information I managed to find about said box. Letter addressed to Sebastian P. Husher. Okay.
Interesting.
Is this another Siren Song game? Maybe.
What the?
Mayhaps.
How can there be a door there?
Yo, that door doesn't look right. Just saying. What is this? There's stuff lying all over the place. It reminds me of my college dorm. This radio has to be older than me, and are those rifles real? Probs. Adores the gates of the purples. Oh no. Oh, music box, you're really loud. Yeah, game's spooky, Jody. Like I said, I'm actually like genuinely terrified to play this game. I was gonna set it up so that I could play in the dark, but my camera does not like it when it's dark.
Closed behind me. When I turned around, the door wasn't there anymore.
Hmm?
And all that was left of it was a strange
Nope, no
shadow
rifles.
on the wall. I
No
searched.
rifles for us.
I despaired. And I screamed until my throat began to burn. The candles started to run out, as did the batteries in my torch.
Oh
From
no.
within the most suffocating darkness, the hours went by, until turning into days. And I began to fall in and out of a restless sleep.
Hey, this basement isn't
I would
normal.
hear voices. Sometimes right
Oh, I'm
next
sorry.
to me.
Trying to get comfy.
Other times a few yards away. It seemed like they were coming from the other side of the wall. Desperate cries, howling in horror. And sometimes, the worst of all, a vast, oppressive silence would fall, seeming to emanate from
It was so dark I couldn't hear.
and nowhere, all at once. There was nobody there. Just hallucinations, nightmares, black nothingness, and the song from that music box.
Okay, okay.
Trapped in this impossible place, I wondered if I was going to die there.
Three days later.
Etienne, do you have any news on Daniel yet?
Oh, Sophie. No. We've been calling
I think
him at
he's
home all
supposed
day,
to
but
die.
There's no response.
Well, not be dead, but
Do
definitely
you know
be
if he's got a mobile
gone.
phone?
No, I don't think so. And if he does, he doesn't tend to keep it on him.
Oh, man. I think I should pass by the Husher place when I leave, just to see if they know anything.
Husher the writer? Your client?
Yeah, I sent Daniel over there on Friday, and I haven't heard from him since.
What's the address? I'm going to stop by Daniel's place, and if I don't find him, I can go around and ask about him.
The house on the outskirts of town, on Highway EB-15. Number 4, Abbott Thomas Road. It's a big house.
Hard
Okay.
to miss.
I'm headed over. Call me if you find him.
Of course. Same to you.
So this game is done in episodes. And you get to choose which character you want to play as. However, if your character dies in one of the earlier episodes, then they will not show up in the later episodes. And everyone has their own like special like talents, as well as their own stats. So that's interesting. I guess we'll go through and see who we want to play as. Sophie Van Denand is 40 years old, has candles, a light source. Pick whoever has the most serenity. That'll be important. I mean, I'm sure it will, but do we want to fuck over our most serene character right off the bat? Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying, Travis. Alright, well, Sophie has really high serenity, it looks like. Life has put Sophie to the test many times, but she always pulls through. It was thanks to this resilience that she summoned the strength to put an end, or I guess it is an end. Okay. Put an end to her failing marriage with Daniel. Sophie, who runs a well-known art gallery, is now enjoying the ever-elusive prosperity she has always longed for. So she's got a candle. She also has scented candles. Whenever I light one, everything around me feels safer and more peaceful. That probably brings her some peace of mind. Jumpy character will match our own Joes. Just put Jody in, oh no. Alright, looks like Etienne has one less serenity. Etienne, a confident, self-made man, is sales manager at Wake Publishing, making him Daniel's direct supervisor. In his role as personal assistant, Daniel has become somewhat of an errand boy, but Etienne is slowly giving him greater responsibilities. Although they love to complain about working together, they have grown fond of each other, developing a friendship outside of work that neither of them like to admit. Writing down anything important is a secret to remembering, so he's got a note folder and a lighter. Alexander Laskin has absolute garbage serenity. Also has a candle, and a metal hip flask. Alexander and his wife Masha are housekeepers at writer Sebastian P. Huscher's mansion. Watching over the author's children is one of their many household duties. The Russian couple of Christian faith moved to Europe in the early 80s in an attempt to flee from a mysterious past that Alexander rarely, if ever, speaks about. Yeah, Laskin's looking good. I think, okay, yeah, Laskin's has the worst serenity, although Alina over here doesn't fare too well either. No, it's like he has a candle and a hip flask. You reflect the light from the candle off the hip flask and it makes it, you know, perfect. It's great. Alright, so Alina is a passionate, hands-down type of learner, always eager to get her hands dirty at work. Happy and energetic, she's traveled the world with her sister in search of a better life for both of them. Now working as an electrical technician at Monolith Security, Alina is part of a highly qualified tech support team repairing high-end home security systems for exclusive clients. Just from the description, I don't know nothing. No, I mean, that definitely seems like, that seems 100% like it's a Silent Hill radio. So she's got a flashlight and a walkie-talkie. Assumably, walkie-talkie will make noise when a monster's nearby. Like I said, I think the scented candle... I think we're gonna go with Alexander. Because he's wacky, and we love that about him. But I'm just trying to figure out, like, what all of the items do. Scented candles, like I said, I assume, like, make us more calm? Note folder. Writing down anything important is a secret to remembering. Does he just take more detailed notes? Or notices things around him more easily, maybe? Take a good swig from the flask to soothe your nerves when danger lurks. Always worked for me. Okay, so hip flask also helps with serenity. Oh, our boy is strong, though. Are they all coping mechanisms? Boost does not help. Laskin just gets drunk and punches shit. Same. Alright, we're gonna go with Laskin's first. Cause why not be the drunk Russian? To get used to the mechanics of the game, right? Am I right? I'm gonna turn... No, I'm gonna leave everything as is. I will move my microphone just a smidge away from me so that if I do scream, it's not gonna be nearly as bad. Like a walkie-talkie to talk to people that aren't there. No, that does make sense. I guess, like, with the description that Alina gave us for the... Are you ready? But But yeah, Alina's description of the walkie-talkie is the only thing that makes me like a little hesitant to be like, Jam, we'll have to go through the house to get there, okay. That hers is a coping mechanism? I can't ride the trike. Get your clip fingers ready! Look, it is the end of the month. We got a lot of good clips from this month, but we need more. I cannot read anything in this newspaper. It got wet in the rain. I hate this already. Oh my god. So what am I supposed to do?
Why is the door open?
Why indeed. Clock in the entrance is off. Oh, fucking hell. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pause. And I'm gonna turn gamma up for you guys, because that looks insanely dark. Hold on just a second. Sorry. Oh no, how do I do this? Okay. I'm just now realizing I didn't have any of this set up in OBS. I haven't had to do any of this since, nope. Jody, thank you for the contribution to the reading stream. There we go. Sorry. Having to...
Unacceptable!
Jesus fucking shit! That was so loud. Is that better? No, I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit more. I don't want it to be too bright for you guys, but I also want you to be able to, like, see, you know? Is that better? Still dark? Okay. But, like, you can make out details now. Okay. If it is too bright, let me know. Oh, no, not tutorials! Oh, fucking hell. Oh, I quit. Never mind. Let's try this one more time. Yeah, that looks better. It just looked so dark beforehand. Yeah, I did the worst option where I quit. Where we just, you know what they say, better to be safe than sorry. I'm sorry. Why was my hand smoking? The alarm system is off. Where are those useless people from the maintenance crew? Oh, fucking hell, I hate this. I don't like this room. Is this a garage? That is Mr. Sebastian's motorcycle. It is out of petrol. I'm not gonna ride the bike. Boiler functioning, upper panel shut down, press the left button, start, press the central button, emptying, press the right button. Case malfunction, preventing correct boiler functioning, you could perform an emergency shutdown by keeping the blue button pressed for 4 seconds. Okay, where's the boiler? Here we have the boiler, but with no electricity in the house, I can do nothing with it. Do I know The Last of Us? Yes, yes I do. I love that game. I was, Fruity and I were talking about that not too terribly long ago. I was considering playing it on stream, because it's been a long time since I played the first one. Old metal box. The label says it has fuses inside, but it's closed with a screw. It's been shut with a screw. Okay. But yeah, I was considering if I wanted to like play it on stream or just play it off stream in my own time. But it's a good one. It's a very good game. It's tense at times. Someone bolted the lock to the servants' quarters. Door to the basement is locked. Yeah, I would just say like the atmosphere can be tense, not super scary though. Okay, what's in here then? I don't like how he just throws these doors open. Mirror's filthy. Quite odd. Okay, but can I hide in here? The troll says I gotta play it. Alright. We can see what we can do about playing it on stream at some point. I do want to get through the games that I listed previously. So Vampire and Tiny Bunny before we move on. We could probably do Last of Us after those. I'm having a real hard time determining if the thumps I'm hearing are in-game or in my fucking house. Oh. Remember when Mr. Sebastian, his friends, and I hunted this deer? We killed it with a single shot. There's no more wood in the fireplace. Every time Mr. Sebastian publishes a book, he places one copy of the first edition here. You will find them all. I mean, he's a very stompy boy, but I keep hearing, like, faint thuds. And it's difficult to tell if it's coming from... Again, if it's coming from the game or the house, which, like, either... Well, I can't say either is fine. Japanese swords, because Mr. Sebastian loves everything from that country. It is stuck. I must grease it if I want Mr. Sebastian to open it. It's... Note to self, it is not Jody coming up to the stairs. Thank you. Masha used to insist I read them. She finally gave up. Just grease up your hand. Just spit on your hand. You'll get it. Mr. Sebastian's bureau. It's like a tiny museum. Don't. Again, Fruity, you say this. I live on the second story. Masha always insists on cleaning this globe herself. It is quite an antique and very fragile. Books, books, and more books. Mr. Sebastian has the house filled with them. There's dust all around the camera. Huge pile of books. I prefer working with my hands personally. Sorry, I'm like panicking because like it said there was a setting in... Also, Fruity, thank you for the contribution. There was a setting in, about... Oh, I don't like that mask! Or is that just a vase that looks like a face? That's just... Okay. Decorative fruit, the expensive porcelain kind. But no, there was a setting that said something about, like, a hearing mechanic? How did that mirror get so filthy? And that's just got me all tense. I didn't turn it on because it said it was going to make it easier. Once Masha and I hid beneath this table so that the children would not see us carrying their Christmas gifts. This house is so greedy. Also, Travis, thank you for the contribution as well. Table is set, but the dishes and cutlery have not been used in days. But how? How do I do that? Oh, no, turn that on. Don't turn that off. No, stop turning it off. Oh, can I examine? No, I need a screwdriver for that. I'm hoping it, like, tells me. Just an ordinary matchbox. There's some matches left in the matchbox. Okay. Because you just tap A to go through a door. I just tried to, like, hold.
There's something on the counter.
Oh! That's sparking and it's wet. A metal ring.
Yeah.
It is broken on one side. From its size, I would say it is a key. Oh! I see, okay. Yeah, it's just the top of a key. Okay, but where's the key portion of the key? This is where Masha keeps the cookbooks we brought from Russia. Can I look at you? Oh dear, I must clean up this mess. This wire is dangerous. I need to turn off the electricity before we clean that up, though. Somebody locked the door to the cold room. Yeah, I'm hoping that they, like, when it's time to use this spooky mechanic, this listen through the door mechanic, they tell me how to do that. What are you? Oil can? Rusty can of motor oil. Oil is a fine lubricant for the car. Can I use that for the bureau? Not shelf. The, what the fuck? What was that noise? Better take a look before you go back out. Here's the mechanic. This is it. While you're listening, pay attention to the sounds that come from the other side.
What was that noise?
I don't know, but I don't like it. Seems like the coast is clear. I was gonna say, I didn't hear anything. From now on, you can listen to what's happening on the other side of unexamined doors. Sometimes you might have the chance to do it with the other doors as well. Pay attention to the icons when you're near one. Oh no. Use your map to find your way around. It records every single place you've explored so far. To open it, press left stick. Okay.
If there is anybody...
Oh, it's locked. Okay. Slow and steady wins the race. I saw a little bit. I tried to avoid a ton of it because I do have Darkwood. And we were thinking about playing it at some point. Darkwood is wild. It's a wild game. Library. Spoilers. Travis is the one who requested it. Okay. I'm gonna constantly check my map. That's how this goes, and we know that. So, okay, wait. Are the key icons doors that are locked? Oh, I'm very tense. Yeah, I played a little bit of it and it seemed difficult, but I think I can probably figure out how to make it work. No, use. There we go. I've unjammed the drawer. I am taking the key. Can only put icons on the map if you include a key. This key opens many doors inside the house. Okay. Yeah, it's a very oddly shaped house. I mean, granted, we haven't, like, unlocked all of the rooms, so I don't necessarily know. I don't think this is, like, the full extent of the house just yet. Again, just trying to understand what this map means. Because there's there's a little lock icon, right? Like towards the center of the house, just north of the wash closet. And to the right of that is that little key icon. So are those both locked? Or is one jammed and the other unlockable with a key? You know? Also, what is this little crossed out oval in the dining room? The gears are things that I can interact with. Or that I can, like, change. Things that I need to combine. We haven't even gone upstairs yet. Where am I trying to go? Rude.
I think I should answer. Hello? Hello? I don't understand you. Saul, is that you?
We can't leave my room.
What?
Children.
What is this?
I
need to find the children. And where is Masha?
I'm prepared for delayed reaction, Jody. Fucking hell. Okay, but I have a key and I want to unlock things. Can I go to the kitchen and try and unlock that door? I'm also trying to keep an eye on, like, the icons to make sure I'm not just walking into a room that's bad. You know? I don't hear anything. I'm gonna check again. Excuse me. Hello? I got firewood. Yay! Good heavens. We emptied the wardrobe before bringing it here. A person would fit inside. Excuse me? Clutter that Mr. Sebastian did not want lying around, but would not throw away either. Don't tell me a person would fit inside there. And I can't listen to the door, so we'll go through. And then, I know he said he wants us to find the children, but the children can deal. So wait, if there's that little oval with the X, or with the cross on it, have I gotten everything from that room? Oh. I can hear so much, like... Oh, there's a heartbeat. Why are you freaking out, bud? Why were you tripping out? Alexander. That's not the door I want. I don't like it when he freaks out for no reason. It's getting dangerously sober. Okay, let's put the firewood in there. Ah. And then use the matches? First I must put in something that burns faster than firewood. Okay, like... No, I'm going to drink. Or if I'm going to drink, I'd rather do it to calm down. That's what I always used it to do. Okay, so that's not what I wanted you to do, buddy. I wanted you to use it as a way to light that, but I need some sort of accelerant. This is where the Hushers kept certain history magazines that are delivered to the house. They are interesting. Use those! Like, bud, you got lots of Tinder around here. Okay? Oh. Kindling or Tinder. Yeah, like, just use the magazines. Use the alcohol you have in your pockets. I kind of want to go into the room. I kind of want to try and unlock that room. Right? Use a book! Like, come on! Oh, what's this? What does it say? My dear eccentric husband, I left your key in the top drawer of your bureau in the library. Children have been very nervous lately. We need to talk about this as soon as you get back, and I don't want them playing with it. Oh, I already got that. Oh boy. Seems fine. But again, just gonna check again. Just caress it. Beautiful door. Lovely door. I think we're good. Oh, no, no, no. No, no, no. Nope. I'm not ready to go down into the spooky cellar. That's not my job right now. My job is to find the children.
What will you learn? What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
Nimbly, hi! Why is my heart freaking out? What's happening? Why does he look so sad? How's it going, Nimbly? Hi! Okay, well, he stopped freaking out. It's a very scary game. I'm very scared.
Take a look on this floor first.
Sir, the children are upstairs, and we should go see the children. But yeah, it's a game called Song of Horror. We're in a spooky house. We're playing as a drunkard at the moment. No judgments there. You'll support in the shadows. Valid. But we're trying to locate a friend, or not a friend. We started out as like an errand boy. Like an intern, essentially, for a publishing company. His name was Daniel. He came to this house to get a manuscript, but nobody was here, and then he ended up in a spooky door that led to nowhere. except a very dark room that was very scary and had music playing. You know, the whole works for spooky rooms. And now he's been missing for a while and everyone's showing up. I am playing as someone who is not related to any of those people. So yeah, we're Alexander. He is, the husband, like, he and his wife, are basically, like the live-in help? They're here to, like, take care of the kids and, like, clean the house and stuff like that, because, you know, rich white people. Ugh, can't do anything for themselves. But yeah, it's cool, because, like, each character, like, if, the game's done in episodes, so if one character dies in, like, an earlier episode, they won't show up for later episodes. Like, they're just done and gone. So, like, if you kill off all the people, then you're SOL. It's very interesting. It's spooky, though. But yeah, hi! We love you! Hi! What am I trying to do? Okay, so I have to finish exploring here, right? Fruity, are we talking about the same person? Can I... Okay, what do I have in my inventory? I still need a screw to do this. That's totally fine. We love and appreciate lurks. It's still lovely to hear from ya. So we need a screw to open this box. We have the bottom half of a key. We need tinder or kindling for the fireplace. And that's it. That's all. That's all I know about right now, right? Yeah. Yeah, we did choose the least serene person to come through. No one's gonna be attached to Alexander. Well, I say that. We're now all deeply attached to Alexander, and we love him. And I want nothing bad to happen to him, ever. See the Hushers when they were little in these pictures with their families. They were taken in the 50s. Cannot stand those paintings. Too many bad memories. Oh yeah? Mr. Sebastian's travel guides. Also, Cyril, hi! So many friends. How's everyone doing? Okay, do I need to go back into the garage then? Oh, there is a door in the dining room that I haven't been into just yet. I should go there. That's the, Hello? That's the office, right? Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're getting mega spooked. There goes. Sorry. Okay. Also, yes, thank you for getting those shout-outs for our friendos. If anyone in chat doesn't follow Cyril or Nimbly, y'all should, because they're both just super lovely, precious, wonderful, lovely beans. And we adore them both. Good! Peaches will keep you safe. I don't like that I walk through the house sometimes. Somebody locked their door to the smoking room. Okay, well, I do have the key, I think. Also, yeah, if you don't follow Fruity as well, they're super wonderful and cool and do a lot of retro games. And they're great. I love my friends. I'm spooked. I'm sorry. It won't let me listen through this door and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I got a screwdriver. Also, Cyril, thank you for the contribution to the reading stream. I don't want to be here anymore. Can I just... No, music, I don't need you getting weird with me, okay? It does got those good French doors, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't listen to them. You know? I should still listen to the French doors. Okay, what is this? What does this say? It does take a special kind of scary to get to me. I don't... So the monsters in this just look like big old shadow monsters, and those are like my least favorite. Don't gotta listen, they have windows. But what if I can't see through the windows, Travis? I can't see through the windows. But no, my two weaknesses in video games, shadow monsters and rabbits. I don't fuck with shadow monsters or rabbits. So here we are playing a game with shadow monsters. It's fine. It's fine. And we've had this conversation before, Anya. I don't like rabbits. They freak me out. They're not great. They're not great. Can't see the windows. That's not helpful. Anyway, this is Julia and Saul's notes. Scribbled piece of paper from the smoking room in the Husher mansion. I saw another door yesterday. As I was walking by the dining room, I suddenly heard the music from Daddy's music box. When I went in, I saw the door. I went running to tell Mummy, but when we came back, it was gone. She scolded me for making things up. It's not fair. I was telling the truth. There was an old door here, different from the rest. It even had a key in the keyhole. If I see it again, I'll go inside and leave the door open. That way, Mummy will believe me. I saw the weird door Julia said. The one that wasn't there before. Mummy was very angry and kept yelling at Julia. The door is scary. I will hide the key in the dollhouse, and I will hide the 5 dolls too. Even if they get mad at me, I will bring them out when Mummy and Julia forget about the door. One will be hungry, so her friend will make dinner for her. Another one will read while her mom takes a shower. The ugly one will watch the door so nobody comes in. Right, kid? Hey, kid? Have you considered not going into the spooky door? Nah, I have fun with that, buddy. This seems like it's gonna be a puzzle, though, so I need to, like, clear off my desk because I haven't. Oopsies, starting the semester off strong. Where did my pencil go? Oh, right, I took it to my knot appointment earlier. Okay, so is this how I get the key, right? We got a dollhouse with 5 dolls. One will be hungry, so her friend will make dinner for her. 1 hungry. 2 making dinner. Boop 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 boop. Haunted doll watch. 3 is gonna be reading. 4 shower. I'm also gonna write mum next to it. And then 5. Ugly one will watch the door so nobody comes in. I don't like that. Yeah, we haven't had a good doll haunt in a while. It's been a minute. Boop 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 boop. Haunted doll watch. God, has it been since Village? I don't want to think about the dollhouse in Village, honestly. I don't want to think about that anymore. Ugh. Okay, so one will be hungry, so her friend will make dinner for her. I'm gonna put her next to hungry. Another one will read while her mom takes a shower. Also her. These identifications are not great. Definitely not since Cyril was here. It's fine. Cyril's playing 7, not Village. It's fine. Mr. Sebastian's cousin taught him all about hunting. It is a family tradition for them. Well, have they considered not? Mr. Sebastian loves to spend time here listening to that radio. Oh, hiccups, excuse me. Oh, panic hiccups. Oh. Such a mess is not allowed in this house. I wonder what they were looking for in all those papers. Probably kindling or something, I don't know. Vivaldi! I have not heard him for so long. Okay, where am I going? Oh. We're not talking shit! I'm just saying it's gonna be okay. You don't have to deal... You don't gotta deal with the nonsense that was Village. The second house in Village. Oh boy! Oh boy. You're cleaning Peach's ears. Aww. Aww. We're not talking shit. I'm just hyping you up. Saying you're gonna do it just fine. Because you don't have to deal with the fucking dollhouse. Oh, it was so scary. Dollhouse was so scary. I think that was the first time on stream that I had, like, genuinely just, like, shit bricks. I was not having it. Okay, I've got the fuses. Can I... Where do the fuses go, though? Are they in the garage? Is there any scary games I refuse to play? Visage. But not because... I mean, it spooked me. But mostly just because the controls made it unplayable. If the controls made sense and actually, like, worked in an intuitive manner, then I would play it. But until that happens, I refuse to play it. But as far as, like, something that's, like, too scary, I don't think so. I haven't found anything that I just flat out refuse to play. Help me in the search for a game that I refuse to play. I mean, we're gonna play Tiny Bunny next time. Oh no. I mean, there are definitely other games that deal with their subject matter very badly. What? Oh, you're very loud. Don't run at it. Said safe for now, but don't let your guard down. Whatever that was, it could still be lurking in the shadows. This whole house is shadows. Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's a difference between, like, refusing to play a game because it's too spooky and refusing to play a game because it handles its content bad. You know? Just remember to be extra careful. It might save your life. Okay. Okay, that's cool. I didn't like that.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. My mind is playing tricks on me.
Don't make random noises, Alexander. I'm trying to think of games that are like that, and I can't... None are coming to mind at the moment, but I've also got shadow people on the brink. Please let me I just want to get in here so I can turn it down a little bit. That was so loud. Oh, lordy. Oh no, I guess what was that game? That FMV game. There's lots of games that handle mental health stuff really a lot badly. I mean, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I mean, some of it I'll still, like, approach just because it's like, cool, we can have a conversation about how this is detrimental as representation. But there's some that just, like, bungle it so bad. Like A Dead of Night. In fact, I think that was one of the first streams that Cyril was actively hanging out in chat. Got to hear my rant about how we scapegoat mental illness too much. And just because you say that it's not supposed to represent mental illness doesn't mean it's any less detrimental to the stigmas that surround mental illness. Yeah, because that one was like, oh no, this character definitely doesn't have DID. That's not what this game is about. And then they pretty much almost explicitly say, this homicidal character has DID, and it's like, okay, but you saying that they don't doesn't negate the fact that you said that they did and that you're representing this character that way. That's not okay. We don't do that. It was a mess. Oh wait, excuse me, what? There's nothing unusual out there. Are you sure? Why is my heart going? Why is my heart freaking out? Seems someone has locked the guest room. Ooh, spooky. An image of Catherine Husher's wife with their children, Julia and Saul. Oh, you put... Okay, thank you. I assume it was just them telling me that I have to smash A and then hit the right trigger every so often to close the door. But, I didn't like it. Golden Bonfire, Masha says it's one of Mr. Sebastian's best books. Okay, hold on. I am gonna pause and I'm gonna look at it just to make sure that that is what that is. Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow, I clicked through that so fast. Yeah, you gather your strength by repeatedly pressing A. Once you feel strong enough to push and block the door, press right trigger. Waiting for maximum strength is effective but risky. Okay, cool. Cool. That's all we missed. Fantastic. Arcade, hi! Oh no, are we, is the straw discourse still happening? Again, I don't like straws. I don't like them. I understand, like, I'm cool with other people using straws. You want to use a straw, you use that straw. You have fun with that straw. I fucking hate them, though. The straw cores. I hate them. I hate them so much. That door is goopy. I don't want to touch it. Okay, so it's just a continuation from our conversation the other day about... Hold on. About me opening up that soda bad. And everyone's just like, why aren't you just, like, pouring it into a cup? Or, you know, being, like, an actual human about this issue. And I think it was Ella... Sleepy Fox Ella was like, why don't you just use a straw? And then I just went on this huge tangent about how I fucking hate straws. Alright, okay, hold on. Hi, Lamia, don't look at me like this. I know you're judging me about the straw course as well. What is this question? No, cereal straws would be even worse, because then I would have to eat the very thing that I despise. And I'm not about that. You just pour out the soda and eat the can. It's valid. No, seriously, I imagine that those cereal straws would just get so soggy. And then it would be a consistency issue. I also just hate cereal. Alexander? Oh my god! Anyway, fucking Shadow Monster doesn't like me talking shit about straws, apparently. Why is my heart getting louder? You know what? You are right. I have played It's Not Me, It's My Basement. Sometimes doors are just nasty. Sometimes doors are just bad. Aw, happy anniversary. Holy fucking hell. Everything's fine. You got, Alexander! Gotta click 'em! Gotta click 'em! Yeah, just peel the fucking can. Just peel it. Peel that can. I just hate straws! And it's not, again, it's not even necessarily, like, an issue. I cannot turn on the floodlight if I do not plug it in first. It's not an issue of, like, it being, like, oh, they're not environmentally friendly. We've got environmentally friendly straws. And straws are very, very important and, like, necessary for, like, a huge portion of, like, you know, the disabled community. They need to be there. I don't have an issue with them that way. I just fucking hate straws. I think they just make my mouth feel weird, and I don't like it. Why am I getting so worked up about straws? TLDR, straws are the worst. I hope y'all enjoy your fucking straws, because I don't want them. You can take them off. These plants are doing better than the ones in the house, but I can tell they need fertilizer. No, it's not an irrational loathing of things that hold liquid. I don't have to put my fucking mouth on a pipe. I'm not sucking up that good sewer liquid. I just don't like straws. I don't like how they make my mouth feel. I don't like it. I left a sack of fertilizer here for the plants, but it was never used. I just don't like how they make my mouth feel, okay? I don't see why that's so bad. Can I put the fuses in this? No. That thing would not help me here. Well, I'm happy to help. Also, Cyril, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you on mobile? Seem to have used this battery to turn on the floodlight, but now it's disconnected. Do I need, like, an extension cord? I'm happy to help. I fucking hate straws. Ugh. Hell, okay, I gotta take a second. I just gotta crack my neck a little bit. I need to move my fan so it's pointing at me because it's getting very warm. And I could have worn different clothes. I know, I'm wearing a hoodie. It's 87 degrees outside, which means it's probably about 89 in here. What's the humidity at? Oh, we got a heat advisory going on right now. Oh, thank you, Stretch. Oh. But I've had a shit day, and I just want to be comfy and cuddled up in clothing that is comfortable, and I've gotta wear my comfort hoodie, okay? So I'm gonna move my fan real quick. All this discourse about straws got me heated. I fucking hate straws! Okay. Anyway, I already did a stretch, but I'm gonna do a stretch again. Alright. Hopefully my fan's not too obnoxious for y'all, but even if it is, you can deal with it. I'm in a heat advisory right now. Computer said so. Alright, now that I'm done screaming about straws, what terrible things do we have in here? Oh, I guess I should probably, like, be clicked into the window, right? Huffa duffa. I would hate that. I don't want a room full of straws. Remote control? Oh, for garage. What are these terrible rattly sounds? Sometimes Miss Catherine sits here to read while Sebastian is writing. The armchair is very comfortable. Because everyone's questioning my hatred of straws. And it's like, I don't like them. They make my mouth do a bad feeling. This landscape is one of Mr. Sebastian's favorites. It was painted in 1905. Am I supposed to, like, match the painting to the one that was missing in the hallway? I realized I didn't comment on it when we passed it. I would probably fit under this table. Stop saying that. I would probably fit under this table. Stream title should be changed to Kayshurrr straws are one of her few major dislikes. Alright. We have learned. Hold on a second. We've learned that I've got 3 major dislikes. Alright? Rabbits, shadow monsters, and fucking straws! Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. African masks. Miss Catherine loves them. I don't know that I like Miss Catherine. Someone split the key to the storage room in 2 parts and left half inside the lock. And marshmallows. I fucking hate marshmallows. I don't like them. I don't like them. Nutella's also gross. Is this just gonna turn into a stream where we list all the things that I dislike? Let's go. I don't like a lot of things, honestly. Yes, it is part of the key. With a drop of glue, I can attach it to the other half. Okay, cool. Thank you, Fruity. I can do Nutella in, like, extremely small doses, but otherwise it's just too sweet and it's just so goopy and it's just too much. It's just way too much.
What was that?
I don't like that the door keeps doing that to me. Well, more Nutella for you. You can have my share of Nutella, because I don't like Nutella. Dear Sebastian, I wanted to tell you firsthand that I will be taking some much-needed time off, which means that the store will be closed as of tomorrow. I wanted you to hear it from me rather than read it on a sign on our door. Oh, hiccups. It's not Fruity. No, you guys are monsters. I could 100% see you guys liking Nutella inside a cereal straw, though, and I hate it. See, I can't even say I like sugary things, because I don't. I used to. There are, like, a handful of, like, super sugary things that I'll, like, go ham on. Peach rings? Give me a bag of peach rings and those will be gone in 10 minutes. But I just, like, I don't know. Sugar makes me so sick, which is very funny considering that, like, I bake sweets and I really enjoy baking sweets. But I just can't. I can't with, like, super sugary things. I hate it. Buh. More for y'all, though. I hope you enjoy your super sugary stuff. No, I just like salty stuff. Give me some, like, salty and some sour things, and I'm content. My daughter is currently traveling, and I must confess I can't keep up with our everyday demands on my own, especially since I haven't been able to sleep well lately. As soon as she's back, we will be open for business again. Rest assured, you will be the first to know. I hope to feel better by then. Please give my warmest regards to your family. Sincerely, Isaac Farber. That was written in 98, so this takes place in 1998. We have learned. Ugh. Y'all treat yourselves. Go get you some sweets. I don't know what I'm listening for when I put my ear up to the door. Scaffold goes here. Elevation plan for the Husher Mansion. An elevation of the mansion with some notes on it. Erect. Sorry. Erect scaffolding, paint exterior, repair leaks, fix loose tiles, check old pipes. Okay. I'm an adult. I don't hear anything.
No.
Door to the master bedroom. It is locked from the other side. How could that be?
Mrs. Catherine.
Oh, ladies crying. Hell yeah, I remember that 200 pack of warheads. I wanted them.
I have to reach the master bedroom.
I understand, Alexander. We will get there eventually. But we got some other stuff we gotta take care of first, bud. Okay. They said scaffolding. Classic! Fucking hell. Okay, I need some glue. Okay, that is what those icons mean. So if it's X'd out entirely, then I can't get through that door. It's barricaded. If it's got a lock icon, then it's locked from the other side and I can't get through. And if it's got a key icon, it's one that I can unlock with a key eventually. Understood. Okay, so what do I need? We need... Never going back to the basement. Not ever. I need glue. I need to find where the fuses go. I need kindling. I heard something thump. I need to figure out how to turn the power off to that wire in the kitchen. I need to go to the garage. Because we got the clicker for the garage, right? Not me being super spooked and quiet. Also, this is the painting I was talking about. There's a painting missing. Surely they took it to the basement or the attic. Do I have to find out what year that painting was done? Is that like a code for something? Don't squeak at me. Garage is toward the front. Oh no. No orbs. I'm not gonna touch it. We're not gonna touch it. Don't worry. Is this the garage? It is. Okay. I can't listen, so we're gonna keep going through. Oh boy. Well, if I already touched it and I don't remember it, then that just, again, proves that past cache is the fucking worst. Need to get electricity in the house first. Fucking hell, bud. No one else to know anything about it often. I'm sorry we've done this to you. Several wrenches are missing and the flathead screwdrivers are gone too.
Yeah.
Here we have the boiler, but with no electricity in the house, I can do nothing with it. Where do I turn the electricity on, then? Hey, bud? Hey, friend. Miss Catherine's bicycle. Only Julia rides it now. Where the hell am I supposed to find, like, a fuse box or something? Like, that looks like it would be it. The thing to the left of this? I don't want coffee cereal past Cation Evil Fruity in the same area at any given time. Please. Please. It would be disastrous. Let's be real. We should all be very afraid. Go through?
No.
Someone bolted the lock to the servants' quarters. Where are you, Masha? That makes no sense right now. Alright, it's blocked from the other side. Okay. No one let us run any cans or coffee or sharp objects. Watch out, I'll poke a hole in your can. Oh no. Oh goodness. Yeah, no, it would be disastrous. Or cats. Not the cats, Fruity. Alright, am I supposed to go to the basement? I don't wanna. Fruity was a monster and burned a whole bunch of kitty cats in RimWorld one time. They got mad that I kept bringing in boom rats and gathered all the cats and all the boom rats into a single location and ruined everything for everyone. Oh, can I unlock this now?
Yeah.
Now I can go through. I will not need this key anymore. Again, I don't hear anything, and I don't know what audio cue I'm
It looks very dark in the guest room.
Yeah. Yeah, do, buddy. One of the novels Masha brought from... I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. It was Allie. Allie sent all the kitty cats in. It was a good old time. We were gonna have a big party with all these animals. And Fruity said no. And it was mean. Hail Mary, full of grace. Okay, bud. No, you had a bonfire. We all had a freaking meltdown because of the terrible thing that you've done. Don't jump at me, door. Wait, can I go in here? Oh no. I don't think Emmy's quite ever recovered from the cat incident. Miss Catherine took up painting as a hobby, but it was Saul who turned out to be the real painter. His paintings are right where I left them before departing. Let me see. March 1883 and September 1790. Yep, same ones. You remember them based on when they were painted? That's a little weird, bud. But hey, whatever works. Looks like somebody has raised the ladder going up to the attic. I don't want to go to the attic. Yeah, surprise, walruses don't do well in the heat. Just, I mean, it's a little known fact about walruses. Clack, 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 clack. Oh. Okay. Looks like somebody's already raised. Someone pulled up the ladder to the attic. I could lower it if I could if I reached that hook. Well, if you really loved that walrus, you shouldn't have summoned it where it was going to die. Sorry, friend. I think... Oh, no. I think my only option at this point is to go to the basement. Because I can't open that door on the left because it's goopy. And I think the door on the right below the X is locked. Kept trying to sneak into the freezer because it was too hot. She was trying to keep herself cool. She was being a good, smart walrus, and y'all denied her the coolness. Hello? Please don't be back there. Dirty cloth. Very absorbent. We use them to clean the bathrooms. Ah! I like that they have an orb to, like, help with the physics of this thing. That tickles me. Magic orb. It's definitely, like, 2 orbs. I love physics. Oh my god, I love game physics. Mirrors covered with dust. Unacceptable! Sheet ghost. These are the toiletries prepared for guests. Okay, so there's nothing... Can I use that in the kitchen? I don't want to wander around anymore. Okay, yeah, that's... Well... I can't get in this door, can I? Yeah, so if you could mark that that door is inaccessible at the moment, that would be cool. Guess it's the only door up here that I can't access at the moment. Well, and the door on the bottom right, but I have to turn the light on, I think, is what they were trying to say. I need to figure out how to turn the electricity on. I gotta go to the kitchen. Is the kitchen straight ahead? Oh boy. It is. It is directly ahead of me. No, no, no. No, turn around. Alexander, we are going down the stairs, not up. A part of me wishes I could run. But as big as the house is, we do move at a fairly reasonable pace, and I don't want the monster to know where I am. So, I guess it's fine. So what's this? I don't think I looked at this. Drawing by Saul! Aww! Aw, how sweet! What a beautiful, lovely picture this child has drawn for us. Aww! From Saul, age 7. What a cool kid. Just throw it. Don't touch it! Don't touch it! That's it. Nice and dry. Oh my goodness. Masha must have made some coffee. Notes the family leave each other, not important. Okay, so I did that. Now what? I don't like these noises. I need glue. I need some sort of hook or long curved item to pull down the attic stairs. I still haven't gone to the basement, and I really don't want to. Honestly, if we're being we're being completely transparent about that, I don't want to go to the basement. But I think I gotta at this point. I think I have to. Here's the dog food. I wonder where they have taken him. He did not come out to welcome me. But we heard him out in the yard. Too much plot in the basement, honestly, if you ask me. All that is left are tins with preserves. Nobody has done the week's grocery shopping. No shopping for us. Okay, can we... What do I need to do? I gotta go into the basement. I gotta go in the basement. I don't want to go into the basement. You know what happens in the basement? Bad things. But I bet you the fuse box is in the basement. I bet there's also a hook in the basement. Fruity. Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate this.
There is a note stuck on the safe.
If you found this note, congratulations. You're one step closer to solving the puzzle I prepared for you. I hope it keeps you entertained while I'm away. I've hidden your favorite doll in the safe and changed the combination. Since you aspire to becoming a detective when you grow up, I think this is a great chance to put your deduction skills to the test. The new combination is as follows. The number of our street address. Number of street. Saul's age. That's 7. We know that. I saw that already. Decade and year. The canvas hanging upstairs right next to the staircase was painted. Number of the street. Was it... I don't remember. The decade and year? So, like, the full year? But would it be... I don't understand. Decade and year... Round painting. Hi, Lamia. Okay. Oof. Bottles of wines were excuse me, sorry. Those bottles of wine are gifts made to Mr. Sebastian by his friends. Or fans, not friends. That's not the right painting. I hate it down here. Hey, I hate it. All that useless clutter ends up in the basement. Thanks. Okay, it's fine. Alexander, we'll just take a second. Relax. Don't let your heart explode. It's okay. It's full of wine. What's not to like? Till the children are a little older, these expensive vases must stay down here. Hi! Mommy is just staring at me and I need her to not. I also need my heart to not explode. preferably. Fuses! For the love of God, did the fuses go out again? Excuse me, what? You are getting into character. Ah, yes. That's good, good wine. Okay, so it's our other nemesis. Wires. I see. No, I see. I do understand. And I'm not blocking anything so we can see everything. So, yeah, the maths. It's gonna kill me. So the top 3, like, squares, right? Those all connect to the various, fuses on the left. I mean, those aren't fuses, technically, and I know that. But we'll call them switches. So the switches on the left, I have to do the proper math so that all of them add up. I don't know which ones connect to which, though, is the problem. Does it matter? Or is it as long as I have one that equals 30, 50, and 25? I'm gonna assume it's 30, 50, 25. Yeah, well, it's like, okay, so the top left one is green, blue, and red mixed together. Yeah, so bottom right square for the actual fuse block, bottom right square is green, bottom left is yellow, top right is red, top left is blue. So I need green, hold on, green, blue, red, yellow and green, and then green and red. I'm going to assume that it would probably be easiest to do green, blue, and red equaling the highest amount, which would be 50, right? So could I do 20, 15, 10? With blue being the highest one. Nope, that's the wrong place. I've already done this bad. Hold on. I didn't mean to click there. Okay, so we'll say blue is 25, right? I guess yellow is... No, restart. Blue is 25, so then I need 25 and 30... which could be 10 and 20. And then 10 and 15. So 10 has to be green. I don't know if anything I'm saying makes sense to people. If they are not working now, I do not know what to do. I will try to turn on the lights. I think I figured it out. I think I did it right. Right? I did it! I did it!
Good.
Look.
Will help.
Look. Hey game. Look. To all the other wires out there, I can solve your dang problem if I can see all your fucking wires. That's all I gotta say about that. That's all I gotta say about that. I didn't like that. It was the one wire problem that was such a big issue. That is true. But it was such a big issue, is the thing. Okay, so the circular painting has to be upstairs, right? Like in the attic. That's me. Master electrician. Got this. Got this handled. Oh, I wonder if... Yeah, because I was able to, like, visualize the entire area. Because I couldn't look at everything at all, like, the entire time. It's object permanence. I'm a fucking dog. If I can't see it, it doesn't exist. Okay, so we need to... Ooh, I can open up the garage now. Okay, but before we do that, can we... What was this? Shut down is left. Start is central. Empty is right. Case of malfunction preventing correct boiler functioning. E shutdown. Emergency shutdown. Blue button, 4 seconds. Maybe. Boiler's on and the pipes are leaking all over. Okay, where is blue button? Or I guess I should probably empty. 1, 2, 3, 4. I do not need to turn on the boiler. Okay, that was far easier than I thought it would be. Can we open up the garage door? I should probably back up. It's fine. He did it for me. Look at all this progress we're making! Excuse me? Household pair of standard battery clamps. Oh, I can use that for the floodlight. I don't like the sounds out here. Mr. Sebastian left one of his folders in the car. Should I take the folder? It's not doing any good just sitting there. Is that... That's gotta be the manuscript, right? So no, I'll leave it there for now. Can I do anything else with this? Mr. Sebastian's car. Looks like it broke down. Excuse me? Spooky noises? What? Children's mouths water when they see Masha and me cooking shashlika on the grill? I do not have time to plant new grass for the lawn when I left. I did not have time to plant new grass for the lawn when I left to care for my brother. Where is this? Oh! A whole section of the house I haven't explored yet. Fantastic! I love that for me. Okay, before we go back in, is there anything else out here? Oh, I hear you, doggo. I don't know that I actually want to go in there. I can't go in there. It won't let me interact with the fence. But that's okay. I don't think I want to go in there. Alexander, have you considered just leaving? Oh, hiccups. And I can't unlock that, so that's unfortunate. Also, there are so many white vans driving up and down this freaking place. I couldn't, no, so, okay. Alright, listen here. You listen here, you scamp. Nah, it wouldn't let me. Left my key inside before going away. Let's find Masha now. Unless? I want to go in there. Okay, so I need a new key. I need to find Masha. Or what remains of Masha. Unless? Nah, seriously, look, here. I don't get any options to unlock the door. Cyril's such a scamp. Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Even if I'm just like background noise for someone and they're just enjoying listening to me yell about nonsense, like, that makes me happy. I'm here for that. So, I'm glad you're enjoying your time here. Yeah, just, it's fine. Don't mind us screaming about straws in the background. It's fine. Alright. A lot has opened up to us now, right? Ooh, I can do that room at the top of the stairs.
Holy Mary, I do not know what is happening.
The text and what happened, or what he said, did not match. Sorry, I thought I heard like a growl for a second. This is fine. It is no problem. The alarm works now, but I do not know if it has been activated. Okay, well, you should activate it. Ugh. Alright, we should go upstairs. We should go upstairs. Okay. It's true. It's true. It is just like my closed captions. I seriously need to look into finding a better closed captioning program. This one has worked alright, but it's not... It distorts the meaning so often that it ends up being an issue of it's no longer helping with the accessibility issue. And that's not what we're here for. Oh, buddy. Oh, I'm so scared to go in there though, because like, what if I go in there and then they turn the light off? What if I go in and they turn the light off? Oh look, a spooky doll! Red rag doll. Masha's recorder, a voice recording of the Husher Mansion housekeeper Masha. The label on the cassette reads September 11, 1998. Play it?
I am starting to worry. A few days ago, Mrs. Catherine started sleeping in Saul's room with the children.
Not a soul around the Hushers chose this area exactly because of the peace and quiet.
Is she ashamed of something? Alexander and I have lived in this house for 16 years. With her and Mr. Sebastian.
Oh, oops, I interrupted it. Basically, it just makes it sound like everyone started realizing something bad was happening in the house. Alright. Oh boy, let's... don't go in there, you idiot! Something terrible is drawing near. You need to hide before it's too late. Look around you and find a place where you can go undetected. Once you've interacted with this hiding place, it will appear on the map with the following symbol. Oh, that's what that symbol means. Time is short, hold left trigger to run.
Hide, you idiot.
Okay, I would love to. Don't know. Not to hold your breath. Oh no! Instead of holding my breath, I have to beat my own damn heart! Managed to hide from the darkness, but the worst is yet to come. Try to keep a level head. To calm down, follow the rhythm of your heartbeat by pressing left and right trigger when the white border reaches the center of the circle. Don't let your heart beat too fast or you'll start to panic. Above all, don't look at it! Okay. Okay. Yeah, just don't acknowledge it. It's fine. Jesus, that's horrifying.
Holy Lord. What exactly has happened here?
I got the achievement Dying of the Light. Yeah, his facial expression? Not great. Children's dollhouse. Mr. Sebastian wanted it to look like this mansion. We did it! First try! Second drawing by Saul. Aww. Aww. What an artiste. Mr. Sebastian brought those toys from his friend Mr. Farber's store many years ago. Alright, well. It's not. We're not playing Slender. We will never play Slender. There, that's a horror game I refuse to play. I have played it before, though. But never again. Oh my god, that was miserable and I hated it. Can I go to the back balcony now, please? It's the worst dang game. Also, that door has seen better days. Okay. Ooh, I wonder if this will get rid of the spooky, scary goop wall. Why is your fire alarm going off? That was a good time to leave and never come back. Is it... Spooky Scary Skeleton song as a sound request? I can see what I can do. I have written it down. No, it's terrible. Also, yeah, I'm sorry that your fire alarm is going off and that your apartment is being ridiculous. this how you do it? How you do it. And it's true, there is always goop. There's always goop, there's always bees. No matter what you do, you will never escape the goop and bees. Not even once. Oh, forgot to behold. Gotta listen. Two things in life are certain: goop and bees. Hand's fine. Hand is fine. No problems with our hand. Children were excited to have their pictures in black and white like their parents. Gold key. Small gold key hanging from a circle keychain. Ah! It's Masha's key. Okay. Oh no. Oh, I don't like it here. No, we're 100% gonna lose some fingers. It's not gonna be great. I don't like this room. One of these modern type music groups that kids listen to. I prefer Tchaikovsky. Of course you do. Typical poster like the ones kids put up. Julie installs recording. A voice recorder of Husher's Children. The label on the cassette reads J&S September 14th, 1998. It's a classic.
Mommy's really scared. I'm scared too. She's broken all the mirrors in the house. And that song? I hear it everywhere. I wish we had never listened to it. Something is watching us.
Okay. They empty out Julie's wardrobe, so now I would fit inside. Glue? Glue. Glue.
Yeah.
Bottom half of a broken key, I put glue on the chipped end. Hell yeah. Okay, what else do we got? Do I have anything else I can use? Grill tongs with wooden handles, perfect for cooking a barbecue. Gotta click them together. Test click. Julia's bed made like in the military, but there's dust on the bedspread. Nobody has slept here in days. Oh, this is Julia's room. Okay. Julia has always been a good competitor. Okay. Little Julia skates and medals. I'm so proud of her. Okay, so that's everything that's in here.
I must find a hiding place.
Oh god, can we glue the Shadow Monster's claws to a rubber tire? Yes. Please turn it on. Please turn it on. Please turn it on. Jesus fuck. Please, 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 please. Did I do it? So cold right now. You're gonna fall asleep. GG easy.
What happened? Have I lost my mind?
No, but you're about to, buddy. Like, this is not great. Oh, that's terrifying. I am far more comfy than I was before. I'm still a little nervous, but I'm not nearly as scared. You know? It could be worse. Ellie will be so sad if you die. Well, something is clogging the toilet. Nobody has removed it. Where is everybody? Click, 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 tongs, click, click, tongs, tongs, click. Birdie, I swear to God, if you tell me I'm never gonna find anything in a toilet ever again, I'm gonna be upset. Look at this ugly doll! It's not shotgun shells, but it is this doll. It's Frank Jr., y'all. Frank is back. Right? It's just gonna get worse for this poor man. Don't need to freak out. We're fine. Everything's fine, bud. It's fine. It was a callback. I'm glad someone knows him. We miss Frank. Tried to block the door to the room with this bookshelf. Okay, there's something in there. I know what I'm listening for. There might be. I don't think there is. Saul must have done this. Nope, absolutely not. Okay, but is it done? Is it gone? It's not. It's not gone. Whatever. I got the key that I needed. Fruity. Fruity, you don't gotta be mean. Also, Tara! Hi! Hi! How's it going? Why are the lights tripping out? Why are the lights freaking out? I need the lights to not freak out. I'm sorry, does my game not pause when I go into the map? Oh, that's a problem. Anyway, we're playing a game called Song of Horror. It is terrifying, thus far. There's a shadow monster coming after us. Everything is bad. There's nothing good happening here, ever. We're just trying to figure out where everyone in the house is. Okay. Oh, I know. We got the glue on the key, right? So I gotta go open up that room? Oh boy. We should probably take a break soon, though. Just a short one. Yeah, use the key here. Anyway, it's very spooky. The atmosphere is very good. It's creepy. I like it. How are you doing, though, Tara? How's it going? How have things been? Metal hook! An expandable metal hook. Yeah, the death mechanic is really cool, because it is done in episodes. And so if one character dies in one of the earlier episodes, you can't use that character in a later episode. So if everybody dies, then that's it. It's just game over. All papers belonging to Mr. Sebastian. They should be in the rubbish bin. But yeah, welcome. We're happy to have you here. Been trying for a few days to watch, but since it's 1080 and 60 FPS, my computer can't process it. I don't know that I have the ability to change that. Twitch offers it, and I think they are the ones who automatically decide if it's available in the lower qualities, unfortunately. Let me see, because I don't usually have access to those particular settings, unfortunately. And it sucks, and it's unfortunate, and I hate it, because I would love to be able to make it so that everyone can watch at the various other resolutions. But from my general understanding is that's a Twitch specific thing. But I can double check my settings real quick. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything immediately available for me to do that. Because like I said, I think that is Twitch specific. But thank you, Travis, for taking a note of it. And I will look into trying to make that a thing. Or at least double check to make sure that I can or can't. But like I said, I think that ends up being like a Twitch issue is of whether or not they offer it in the lower resolutions. Oh no, that is I'm sorry about that. I wish they made that a little more easy or a little more accessible. But like I said, I will as soon as stream ends, because I don't see any like settings that I can just immediately change to fix it. That might be something that I have to look into after stream. But if I can do that and if I can make that happen, then I will gladly do that. I'm sorry. Oh. We're still happy to have you here. Oh. Yeah, like I said, I will try and make that work post-stream. We've only got about 40 minutes left. Unless, wait. Unless what? What is this? Dear Sebastian, everything is falling apart. I don't know what is happening to my telephone, but I can't seem to reach you, which is why I'm writing this. As I do, I pray that it is not too late. Sebastian, do not listen to the music box. I repeat, do not listen to that music box. Something is wrong with that melody. I hear it over and over in my head. While I walk, when I read, while I eat or sleep, even in my dreams, and these are getting worse and worse. Feel observed, Sebastian. At first it only happened in my dreams, but lately I also feel it while I'm awake, although I find it increasingly hard to tell the difference these days. There's something here with me, a strange presence. In the halls, behind each door I turn my back to. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm so sorry, my dear friend. I curse the day I sent you that box. Isaac Farber. Ooh. Yay! I'm glad it worked. I'm glad you figured a fix for it. I'm very happy about that. Well, hello, welcome. I'm glad we got it fixed. Aww. Yeah, no, this game is really, really cool. I'm super digging it so far. Like I said, the atmosphere, very oppressive, very spooky. Switching to your phone, alright. Makes sense. I'll still look into seeing if I can make it so that desktop people can change the resolution. But like I said, I think that is like on Twitch's side, and they kind of determine who gets to have multiple resolutions or not. I'm dedicated to trying to fix this though. But hey, I'm glad you can see stuff. My Twitch wallpaper is showing up?
A look in the attic.
Is it? I don't see it. I think it's probably because I clicked out of the game for a second. I'm sorry. Are we good now? Is everything fine now? Okay, yeah, it was because I...
Oh, mother of God.
This isn't great. Oh, I'm supposed to block the door. I don't like those hands. Stop. Jesus shit. In one room there was a spot on the wall that had your background on it? What the fuck? I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Why? Why? Okay, I'm gonna let my poor, sweet little heart calm down first. Okay, and I will go upstairs. Who's crying up here? Round painting. Ah, yes, the painting from 1798 must be the one they removed from the stairway. 1798? No, so it's not a Spanish horror game, I don't think. Also, yeah, not great face. So basically the premise is that there was a gentleman named Daniel who works for a publishing company. He was supposed to come to this house to pick up a manuscript from a writer. Instead, he didn't find anyone in the household, stumbled upon a weird door, went through it, and is now, like, lost in some weird alternate dimension. It seems that a music box is the cause of all the weird stuff that's happening in this house. You get to choose to play as a different character who either relates to Daniel or the household itself. So, like, currently we're playing as a character named Alexander, who is one of the housekeepers for the Husher mansion, which is where we currently are. And there's spooky, scary shadow monsters running around, and we're just trying to find where everyone is and figure out what the heck is going on. That's pretty much it so far. Maybe I can get down to the master bedroom on the scaffolding. Let's simply go out of the right window. Okay. Yeah, some sort of music curse. Hi, are you... Oh, you don't look good. Or is that your... They said scaffolding again. Yeah, they did. Ma'am, your arm looks weird and I don't know if it's...
What? Julia, is that you?
Oh, is she gonna, like, vanish? She's gonna vanish, isn't she? She's gonna vanish 100%. She's gonna be spooky and scary! I don't want this to, like, kill us, is the thing! What if it kills us? Where am I? Oh, there's lots of things I haven't looked at. Should I go through? No, not yet. No, because we got, I mean, it's, yeah, because we got permadeath. And so, you can't just go back and, like, open up your previous save. Whatever happens, happens. Thank you for clipping it, Fruity. Like I said, I was gonna go back and see if I could find it. Through the TV at her. Hey kid, have you heard that TV rots your brain? I could ignore her. I could ignore her for right now. Oof, do we ignore her though? Oh, I'm so conflicted. I don't want the, like... Yeah, the safe seats are the dead bodies you leave behind. They wouldn't do that, though, would they? Let's fucking do it. Let's go. I'm curious. She's 100% not okay. I see her face.
It's me, Alex. Are you alright?
No. No, she's not.
What?
A crying friend, a parting gift, but only if they're themselves. She's been gooped. I'm so sorry, Cyril. Piece of collectible, yellowish folder full of papers. There seems to be a haiku stuck to it. Okay. Okay.
Where are you?
Should I go through the window? No? Where am I? It's diarrhea you get when you're super stressed out. An ungodly portrait of our Lord Jesus Christ from January of 19 something or other. Who cares? Oh, these mannequins though. Julian Saul's cradle, Masha and I, we were never able to have children. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Aww. Do we go through here? Should I go through? Yeah, I guess. I mean, what's the worst that happens?
Careful, Alexander. You're not young anymore.
Good for nothing workers, they never finished the job and left a huge mess in the middle of everything. I'm glad I didn't go through the other window, because I think that would have killed me. Genuinely, I think the other window would have, like, killed me. Is this where you loop it? Yeah. God damn it. Sometimes while walking down the street, I have seen the Hushers looking up at the stars from that balcony. Oh, well, they're all dead now. Hey, Catherine?
Mrs. Catherine? Masha?
Please come back. Can't leave the house.
Where is everybody?
Away. The master bed has been made for a long time, like Julia's. It's not been used anytime recently. Yeah, so this part of the household is a really great place to loop killers if you ever get stuck in DVD. Mrs. Catherine took a journal of her honeymoon with Mr. Sebastian. Those notebooks are a treasure for them. Aww. If I wanted to, I would fit under this table. Great. I love that for you, my guy. Now I can open it.
Yeah.
Blue ragdoll. Ragdoll wearing a hat. Of all the decorative items Mr. Sebastian enjoys, the Japanese paintings are the ones Mrs. Catherine likes the most. Yeah, so you got a couple of weird mechanics where you can hide from the monster. You can try to force a door closed so the monster can't get in. Or you can listen to doors to see if the monster's on the other side. If you are hiding from the monster, you have to, like, hit buttons to match your heartbeat and try not to look at the monster so that you don't explode your heart. And hiding is terrifying and I don't like it. Because it's extremely spooky. So yeah, like this we can listen. And it does not sound like there's anything on the other side of the door. So I can open it, I think. I hope. Dear God, I hope. What is this? Sebastian, I received the box again. I can't even stand to look at it, but still I hear its music. After returning it to me, has anything changed? Do you feel better? If so, maybe I should do the same, don't you think? Should try to find the previous owner, if that's even possible. Have you discovered anything? Please do tell me. I can't sleep or stay awake. I feel a presence. There's something here with me. Showers will help keep us like calm and chill. I don't want to think about that, Fruity. I don't like that possibility. That's not a nice possibility. But yeah, they're cool mechanics. And like the hiding mechanic, it's kind of romantic. Surprise! The darkness just wants a friend, honestly. Maybe something a little more than a friend. We've got our both our heads pressed to the doors, trying to listen to the other. And then slowly, the monster reaches through the door and holds my hand. Why are you tripping? Why are you freaking out, bud? They believe in a thing called... Ah, yeah, showering in a creepy filter. In a creepy monster mansion. Totally relatable. I mean, hey. Whatever you gotta do to relax, you know? Oh, y'all. Can I go in that room now? Hold on, how many dolls do I have? 1, 2, 3. I'm missing 2. Ooh, there's the one. There should be the one in the basement, right? in the... Is this fear or love that makes my heart beats? No, man, it's because you're old. You've been running around a lot. You should probably take a break. Yeah, there was one cooking for the other. I gotta find the dolls, though, is the thing. There's one in the safe in the basement, and I don't know where the last one is. But I have the locations that they need to be in the dollhouse written down, which is where the, like, cooking thing comes into play. Can we go outside? Don't ding at me. Don't ding at me. I would like to see... Why are you gasping? 4? Is that... Okay, so that's not the number of the street, though, is it? I thought they lived on a street with, like, a name, not a number. So is it 4? 471798? Is that the code? I really... No, it's not a cooking mini game, I promise. No, we found a riddle earlier that wants us to put these weird dolls into certain rooms in a dollhouse. And it mentioned that one of the dolls was cooking dinner for their friend, and so assumably you put that one doll in the kitchen. God, I would scream if there was a cooking mini game. No, thank you. Can you imagine? In the middle of all this nonsense. Is it 4798? It is. Okay. Cool. I am taking it. Oh! It me! It me is a doll. Okay, so where's the last doll? Is it in the... We already did the fishing minigame. No! No! No minigames! They were super cute glasses. I need to get new glasses. Because mine don't fit my face very well, and I liked these ones. But I'm thinking of going back to the old black circular frames. There's no fishing, cooking, and your pet is not a real thing. First off, I gotta find my pet. Other mother would be thrilled with the button eyes. Fucking other mother. Why is she like this? Okay, into the playroom we go. Is it this one? We're never. If we ever get back to Deadly Premonition, I'm never, ever buying a fishing pole. And at this point, it's just to annoy you. Okay, no, I am absolutely missing one. This is mom, though, right? So she's gotta go in the bathroom. Do you go in here? Because you're watching, making sure no one's, doing anything. Hungry. Making dinner and reading. I don't know where to find the other doll. We need $35 crackers. Oh no. Yeah, this game's been out for like a year or two at this point. I don't know. I haven't heard of it. It's really good. At this point, I would highly recommend it to folks. Ooh! I know where I need to go. Okay, right. I got Masha's key. I need to go outside through the garage. And we can unlock that whole side of the house. Hiccups. Excuse me. Sorry. I want to say it's like 20 bucks or so. If you want to add it to your Steam wish list, ! game link will pull up the link for you.
Oh, mother of God.
Fucking hell.
I cannot find anywhere to hide. I must go into another room.
Yeah, I know, bud. I'm working on it.
I cannot find anywhere to hide.
I know, buddy. I'm working on it. So this is the hide mechanic. It's terrifying. I don't like it. No, don't look around. Just light your candle. Let's just get our heart beating. Fuck. Okay, we did it. Okay, we got it. We hid it. We hid in a closet. So there are only like there's specific like designated hiding spots. And they're all the ones that are marked with like the little like oval with the slash through it. And of course they caught me in a room that like was super far away from any hiding spots. There was one in the dining room and I completely missed it. I don't want to, I know that they say I can hide under a table. I don't want to. That sounds horrifying. Like, no thank you. Oof. I don't like having to run through the house though. I asked for, I know early on I asked for a run mechanic. I regret asking for that. Oh boy. So yeah, there's like a table in the dining room that I can hide under. And there's a table upstairs in the master bedroom. I need him to stop running around now. Okay, there, no, stop. Oh, it's not a hold, it's a click. That's weird. I don't, and see, that's kind of like, I don't necessarily know that the game would do something like that. Game, no! Game, no! Said I ran out of memory. Hold on a second. That's incorrect. That should not be the case. Ooh, I hope it saved recently. To be fair, we're starting to get close. You are so loud. Starting to get close to the end of stream, but we still got time, game. Game, we still got time. We got 20 minutes, game. Oh, please don't put me back super far. I hope it saved as soon as we were done with, like, the hide. There's the trap. We got comfy with things. Oh, okay, cool. It left us right where we left off. Fantastic. Good save mechanic, game. I appreciate it. Alright. Here I was, worried that we were gonna have to play a whole bunch of stuff again. Nah. It was like, I got you, fam. I'm a little overburdened right now, but I got you. It's like, cool, thank you. Thank you, game. I appreciate it. Right? Don't make any mention of the obvious plan of the game, the obvious villainous plan of the game. You just gotta roll with it. Just, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's go through. Oof, don't like this. Don't like this. Okay, I will go through these doors eventually, but I would like to unlock this first. Now, is the amnesia crossover where we forget, don't save parts of the face? Oh no. Parts of the game? This boy loves doors so much he has to rub his face on all of them. I mean, isn't that what you do with things that you love? Here, Masha and I write down our chores for each day. And you don't clean it up? Or is that your or all of those your chores for a single day? Because that's a lot, buddy. Nothing. Let's go in. Alexander, I wish you never had to find this note. I left the house, or at least I tried. I pray that this is not the last time you hear from me. I haven't seen Miss Catherine or the children in days. Sometimes I hear them crying upstairs, but I never find them. They always seem to be in the room next door, even if such room does not if such a room does not exist. There's something horrendous here with us, something that I can't describe. I barely dare to leave our room anymore. I have to go before it's too late. I love you, Masha. Okay.
Masha,
There's the other doll.
where are you?
Orange rag doll. Her closet. It is empty. Is that a hiding spot? That's a hiding spot. Oh, I should have listened. Oh, fuck. It's fine. Oh, the panic was real, though. Dirty, moldy towels in our bathroom. This is not normal for Masha. Masha. Honey, what are you doing? God, I'm glad there was nothing in here. Okay. It's Masha in her youth. Cannot understand how a woman like that ended up with a brute like me. Aww. Well, I would say obviously you have some redeeming qualities, but I don't know you well enough, and that's not always the case. You seem alright, though. Got a bit of a drinking problem, but I don't know. Masha's sleeping pills. When she worries about something, she always ends up taking them. Alright, what's in this terrible room? All of this in the dirty, moldy towel is the problem. I mean, we gotta draw the line somewhere, right? Okay, what's in here? Bottle of stain remover is empty. There's not much bleach left. Nothing has been put back here. Clean, dry sheets, but dusty. They were never taken off the line. Solvent. Can of universal thinner. I'm sorry, is that full? I'm sorry, is this full? Basin in the laundry room is full of filthy black water. Gross. Don't like that. Wait. I would have to put my hand in there to remove the clog. Should I? No! Take a picture of it. You'll get extra cash. We're not putting our hand in there. No, I'm sorry. That's not, we're not at that point just yet. All right. I don't think so. Now we can get a bad goopy hand. I don't want a bad goopy hand. Thanks. Kitty cat? Okay.